Take two here. Let me know in the chats if everything is working. Dude, as soon as I hit the live stream button like 10 minutes ago, my internet just shit the bed. So, I just had to delete everything and restart. Alright, we're good. We're alright. Cool. Jesse Waters talking about the missing military guy. Do you have a link to his segment? Do you see it on Twitter or are you watching it live on the TV? If you find a link to his segment on General McCasland on X or anywhere, send it over and I'll play it. Interested in what Jesse Waters has to say. I don't think Jesse Waters would report on anything I haven't heard. I saw a clip of Tim Burchett, Representative Burchett, speaking about it like Saturday. And all of Tim Burchett's info is just what was available online already. Still working on that Substack article. Hopefully I'll get it done tonight. But on deck for our conversation. In fact, I kind of like streaming without any intro video. Just getting right into it and hanging out with some background music for a few minutes. I'll cut the music when I start getting into the articles. On deck for tonight's conversation. Whatever the title says. That's what we're going to talk about. Trump's posts this morning on negotiating with Iran and then some of the fallout from that. Almost looks like Israel's trying to hinder those negotiations and accelerate while Trump's trying to de-escalate. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll also touch on the SAVE Act, fight over that. We'll also touch on the ICE agents hitting the airports today. Some of the meltdown ensuing from that one. A couple of deaths to speak on. Robert Mueller over the weekend, and then the OnlyFans founder today. Good riddance. Oh, what else? I think that's about it. All right, I do want to tell you guys, though, about my newfound hobby. Dude, I'm getting really into gardening. Like, I want to go all out. I probably won't go as all out as I want to, but oh yeah. I'm like scouting plans on building a raised bed, scoping out the materials. Got to get me a couple cubic yards of good soil and compost. I'm a little late. I probably, if I knew what I was doing, I would have started the seedlings indoors weeks back. But it's not too late. I'll probably do a few seedlings indoors right now and transplant those in a few weeks, along with some seeds right in the ground in a few weeks, so they can grow at different rates. Then you don't get all your food at once, right? But yeah, if you guys have any tips and tricks and suggestions for any kind of zone 6-7 planting, let me know. I'll probably screw it up a little bit, but I got a good amount of space I'm planting, so even if a few of the plants die, some other ones might do all right. Camera's a little blurry. I got the focus a little off. All right, maybe. Where's that focus set? Maybe about here. Chicken manure. Man, I'd love some chickens. I want all the chickens. But not this year. Get some grow lights. Yeah, I probably will get a few small ones. But there's already quite a bit of daylight out. So even with those seedlings, I'm going to start indoors. I'll probably just really leave them outside. And if it happens to get too cold one night, I'll bring them inside. But This area is kind of known for like second winters. So you'll have a mid-spring cold snap for a few days. So really, I'll probably just leave the seedlings outside. But if it gets too cold, I'll bring them inside. And then I'll transplant them like end of April, maybe. But yeah, I want to do some tomatoes, some cukes. I want to see if I can get like a watermelon or a cantaloupe going. And maybe some carrots. I'm just thinking about stuff I'd use. I'd use the cucumbers and carrots to juice. I'd use the tomatoes for, you know, bad comedians on stage or something. But anyway. Yeah, man. If you guys got any suggestions, let me know. Let's have a grow show on Thursdays. Like live stream myself in the plant box. I'm a grower, not a shower. I could do both. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see about that. But yeah, dude, it's gonna be my new hobby. I'm looking at 8x4 beds. I want to do 3 of them, but that might be too much. I'll just do a couple of them. I'm gonna build them myself. You know, get the untreated wood. I've seen that it's recommended to do like cedar or redwood, but I'm not looking at like a long-term box. I'll probably just get some cheap pine or something. I'm just gonna go 12 inches deep on these raised beds because I'm gonna put them right on the ground so the roots can grow into the natural soil. I don't have like a gopher or mold problem to worry about, so I don't need to shield off the bottom. And get some copper for the garden. So I was thinking about doing like maybe one box experiment with some ormus growing, and then the other box just do it natural and just compare. Maybe have a few plants that I try to grow with ormus or copper or some kind of woo-woo stuff, right? And then have the control beds. The normal ones. Beware the bunnies. I don't have to worry about that. That'd be good. Chicken manure. Probably just shit in the bed myself. Nah. Wouldn't do a compost pile yet. Someday I'll have the chickens and the rabbits and the compost pile and everything. And a big drum to collect rainwater that I can water it with, but for now I'm just doing it basic. I'm gonna do some herbs too, maybe some basil and rosemary and all that for sure. A little section of herb. You'd buy the raised beds online? Yeah, it's like 3 times the price though. I'm just gonna make them. Take like an hour. They're easy. And you can buy boards that are already, either 6, 8, or 12 inches wide, and then they come pre-cut 8 feet long, 10 feet long, 12 feet long. So really you just need to get like 3 of them. One for each side, and then one you cut in half for the ends, and then there's your 8x4. So it's like a third of the price to just buy the wood yourself and get a few screws and screw it in. So, yeah, I know you get a lot with potatoes. Like 1 square foot of planting potatoes, you can get multiple pounds. But I'm not really a potato eater. And I'll probably end up having, if I don't screw it up, kill everything. I'll probably end up having way more food than I can handle, so I'll just give a bunch away. But I just don't know, Yeah, you said you got 7 pounds in an oversized flower pot. I do have a bunch of pots that I've found. Maybe I'll use like one of them for potatoes. I would eat sweet potatoes. I'm not really a white potato guy. Repurpose furniture. Funny you say that. I have a couple pallets that I haven't been able to get rid of. So over the weekend, I was breaking down one pallet and trying to rip it apart because I'm like, I'll repurpose this pallet for one of the beds. But all the wood broke. It was like old shitty pallet. So it was like an hour of my time wasted. After I broke the whole thing apart, I'm like, oh my God, this wood sucks. I can't reuse this. So I'll just take the other pallet like out to the shooting range or something. It'll come in handy for a target stand. Pickling comes in handy. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think I'll do some canning, pickling, jarring, something or other. I wish I had a freeze dryer. I really wish I had one of those. I think they're called Harvest, right? Let me show you guys. These freeze dryers are gangster. Yeah, I wish I had one of these. They got some different sizes. I think they're like $2 or $3 grand though. So out of the budget right now, but yeah, what's this one? Home freeze dryer, $1,800. But the medium one, $2,500. But man, with the amount of food that you can store for literally decades, ends up being very well worth it. So one day I will have the chicken horde, the rabbits, the freeze dryer, and the whole freaking victory garden. Gardening is addictive. I know. I don't even have any plants yet. I haven't even bought the wood yet for the beds, and I'm like obsessed with it already. It's a good hobby, man, and it's a good skill that we need to learn. That so many people have lost that wisdom, lost that knowledge. But the beautiful thing about the internet is, as I was doing over the weekend, you can just binge watch. I spent all day just binge watching gardening videos. And the wonderful thing about the internet is how fast we can acquire information, as opposed to 100 years ago when it took generations of trial and error and passing down the knowledge. And now information just goes so fast. But internet is a blessing and a curse because most people just doom scroll shit. Sorry. I ate a Brazil nut earlier and it's like, it was nasty. Hope I don't get sick from it, but most people just binge watch shit they don't learn from, right? But if you actually use the internet as a proper tool, you can pick up very useful information very fast. So, yeah, man. Victory over the deep state gardens. Hell yeah. Self-reliance. Crucial, right? I'm sorry, we're chatting for a little bit here before I get into it, but I'm having fun getting your guys' suggestions and sharing with you what I've learned. I might even record some videos out there while I build the things and all that. Show you my process. They're not going to be fancy or anything. Season with love. You eat two Brazil nuts a day? I do 4 a day. Got to be careful with Brazil nuts because you can OD on the selenium. I think on the bag that I bought, it says 1 serving size, 1/4 cup. But that gives you like 1000% of the RDA, recommended daily value of selenium, which is way too much. So I just eat 4. I do 4 Brazil nuts, and 2 big handfuls of pumpkin seeds at the same time. Very good for dudes to do. Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds. Trick is you need to mound up the top, keep the rest under dirt. Yeah, I'll probably just use glass clippings as like mulch on the top. And of course, like not directly around the plants, of course. But I'll just use grass clippings. Man, I was in Home Depot the other day. Freaking Roundup everywhere. I wanted to die. People in there probably were dying. Poor folks, but at least like 4 displays of Roundup throughout the gardening section. Not for me, bruh. It's gonna be as organic as possible. So, yeah, anyway. Let's get into it. Enough BSing. Mueller dead. Mueller dead. Yeah, he was 81. Yeah. They say he had dementia. They say. Maybe he did. Maybe it was the, maybe he was gardening with glyphosate. That's what gave him the dementia. But, just the timing of it all, man. Yeah, James Comey's subpoenas come out early last week. And then 4 days later, Robert Mueller. Special counsel, Russia collusion investigation. Mr. Robert Mueller dies only a few days after. Basically, Russia Gate subpoenas start going out as part of that grand conspiracy case. Yeah, maybe he had a natural death. But, you know, conspiracy theory brain goes wild with it. Is this another name on the Hillary Clinton body count? Did the White Hats Gitmo him? Nah, I don't know, man. But, regardless, Trump's post. Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. And the virtue signalers came out of the woodworks with that one. See, this is the BS I'm talking about. This is a disgusting thing coming from our commander-in-chief. Especially about a veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. Damn shameful, says Stephen A. Smith. Spare me. Spare me. He was a dirty cop, man. As dirty as they come. By the way, do you guys still want the background music on? I just realized that I left that on. Do you still want that on? I can cut that if it's distracting. But I kind of like having it on because then there's something in the background while I gather my thoughts and click around. Anyway, doesn't Stephen A. Smith want to make some kind of political run? Was there some talk about that? All right, we got to vote for cut the music. Like the music. I'll do a poll in the chat. Let's see. I'll cut it for now. Yeah, I don't remember if Stephen A. Smith wanted to make some political run or something, but that would explain the virtue signaling nonsense. I don't know. It's like every time. Gosh, I remember like a year or two back, who was it that kicked the bucket? Was it Kissinger? Ooh, maybe it was Rumsfeld. I think when Rumsfeld kicked the bucket, I was like, good riddance. and people get triggered by that. I don't know. Sometimes death triggers people, but Everybody dies. Everything dies. Everything lives. Can't be so triggered or bothered by death. Obviously, there's a difference between, taking life in an unwarranted manner, but I mean, let's be realistic. This planet, society, might be better if there were some people who just didn't live, maybe lived on a different planet, didn't exist on ours, right? They had a chance. They fucked up. Now, it's called consequences. Okay. Another death. Another good riddance death, maybe, right? OnlyFans CEO, dead at 43. Cancer, so they say. Yeah. Not only did he supposedly die of cancer, but he also created a cancer that is a scourge upon society. Frickin' OnlyFans. Good God. OnlyFans is the weapon of the female predator. Right? It is. Stripping their clothes off, trying to appease the male simp. And get the male simp to, subscribe for whatever a month. Just to see some butthole. OnlyFans is the weapon of the female predator. Anyway, hopefully they bury his website with him. But age 43. He was a Ukrainian-American billionaire, but apparently he was Jewish too, right? I think I saw something about him being the largest donor to AIPAC. I don't know. I find a lot of people online, their first reaction is to take they take a religious or a political angle, which is usually coinciding, but that's identity-based living. I try to take the logic angle first. Let's look at it without religion, without anything, all that identity bullshit. Let's take a look at the logic of it, and then we can assess other layers with religion and nationality, politics, all that. But yeah, fuck. OnlyFans, dude. He probably died of chemo. Maybe. If he really did have cancer. I don't know. But, God, he had they say his net worth was $4 billion because he had a 75% stake in OnlyFans. And he made all that money in 8 years, 10 years. It's disgusting, dude. It's disgusting. Yeah, you've got some guys on OnlyFans, but what's the percentage of female to male creators on OnlyFans? Would that be a way to ask that? All right, so it's about 90-10. 90% of the creators are female, 10% are male, and then for the users, 90% are male, 10% are female. So right, you got just a bunch of lonely guys, old creepy pervs who are in a 30-year sexless marriage. I don't know. Just creepy simp bros. And chicks with daddy issues. Whose, I guess, communications degree didn't work out, or just want to strip to get some money. And man, they will seriously just. It's just so sad. It's so sad to me. What the girls do on the internet to rope in some engagement on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and then try to convert their followers to paid subscribers, and then some of these guys drop in hundreds of thousands of dollars on these random chicks. Like, oh my God. All right, let's get into the Iran. So this morning, 5:23 a.m. I am Mountain Time. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and the tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iran, power plants, and energy for a 5-day period. All right, that doesn't say all attacks or all strikes. That just says strikes on energy infrastructure. But, so that post came out. Stock market went up. Oh, I'm on the wrong. Whoops. I had the wrong button up. My B. I was reading his whole post with a freaking Google OnlyFans search on this screen. My bad. So anyway, here's Trump's post I was just reading. What a mess of a stream tonight. I'm sorry, guys. Hope my internet doesn't cut out, though. That got me all discombobulated. So, Trump's post, stonks went up. And only probably 2 hours after this, 1 hour, news started coming out. Developing Israeli military says it is conducting strikes in Tehran, despite Trump saying the U.S. and Iran held talks, and he would postpone any strikes on power plants and energy for 5 days. Pretty much right after, an hour or two after Trump made his post, we were getting videos even of strikes in Iran's capital. This gnarly video, too. I mean, that... Driving the car... Missile hits. How far away do you guys think that is? Because that blast force, that concussive force, boom. Shattered all the windows. 200 feet away, maybe? 300? Yeah. Now, Trump flying from Mar-a-Lago to Memphis, Tennessee today. Before he left Mar-a-Lago, so this was 9:42 Eastern, he took some questions before he got on Air Force One. This is one of the questions. The reporter was asking him about who exactly the U.S. is negotiating with. Who's doing the negotiating and who in Iran is the U.S. negotiating with. Curious answer here.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President?
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the Son.
Are these direct?
Nobody. We have not heard from the Son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
because I don't want them to be killed. Okay? I don't want them to be killed.
Mr. President, you.
So they ask him who he's negotiating with in Iran, and Trump straight up says, I'm not going to tell you. I don't want him to be killed. Okay, makes sense. And then 30 minutes later, I saw a website that wasn't working. Jerusalem Post reported this. Do we have a time on this article? When did they publish this? March 23rd, 2026 at 16:25. Is that like Tel Aviv time? Regardless, I saw this hit the internet right after Trump made that statement. Right after Trump said, I'm not going to name a name because we don't want him to get killed. The Jerusalem Post decided to basically dox the guy. Name that name. We don't know if it's not necessarily confirmed. This is according to a source that told the Jerusalem Post, but they straight up named the dude. Iranian Parliament Speaker Muhammad Bagher Ghalibaf. Guarantee you I'm saying that wrong. I am not known for having quality pronunciation. Mohammed, I can say that. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammed. So, my brain went to Israel wants the dude dead. They want to put a target on his back. Trump's trying to negotiate to de-escalate, but Israel, not all of Israel, I'm not blaming the whole country, but corrupt elements, certain elements in Israel want to continue their bombing, or they want to keep the U.S. in the fight, and they want to keep Iran as their boogeyman. They want to continue. So this is our Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammed. That's what he looks like. Dave Ramsey of the Middle East, maybe. And then he instantly came out and said, no negotiations have been held with the U.S. and fake news is used to manipulate markets. Trump's lying. He basically said, Trump's lying. Well, if Iran and the U.S., if it was indeed this guy who was in discussions with the Trump administration, yeah, and his name got doxxed by Israeli newspapers trying to put a target on his back and get him killed, I would fully expect him to come out and say it's fake news and say that Trump's lying. I'd fully expect that. I think that's what's going on here. It's that the Jerusalem Post decided to dox the dude. And because they want things to continue the way they are. They want to escalate. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Joe Kent? I'm not picking a side. It is one way or the other, and I totally see the arguments from both sides. Don't get me wrong. Which is exactly why it's a very curious situation in my mind. So I totally get it. Joe Kent, you look at it from one angle, it appears that Joe Kent is this leaker. He was leaking shit to Candace Owens. Joe Kent, total hypocrisy. He used to say that we should bomb Iran and take out their nukes and missiles, and now he's changing face. He drops out. He starts doing podcasts with Tucker and Sean and all these people. I get that. I see that. You could make the argument that Joe Kent is he's a clown. Somebody got to him. But you could also make the argument that, well, Joe Kent's doing what he thinks is right, following his conscience, and he doesn't want Israel to be out here exerting influence outside of, what could we say, the scope of their responsibility, like what they doing crazy shit. I see both sides, honestly. Which is why it makes me wonder, I do think Joe Kent is running an op. But then the question is, who's he running it for? And what's the agenda? So I could also see various perspectives on that question. So no, I've been very careful not to throw Joe Kent like under the bus. So I mean, dude's got, how many tours did he do in the Middle East? Green Beret with like 11 deployments. Like he risked it for sure. But then again, just because you have like a stellar record in the past doesn't mean that selfish choices can't be made. I'm not saying Joe Kent's making selfish choices. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not at all. Maybe there are some kind of psyops being waged here. Anyway, I found his post today to be quite notable. Here's one of them. His first one. Joe Kent discussing Trump's statement on constructive conversations with Iran. Joe Kent says, Step 1 in de-escalation must be restraining the Israelis. Otherwise, all efforts to negotiate will follow this pattern. Number 1, POTUS publicly announces de-escalation. Number 2, Israel takes major strikes to destroy the negotiations and in turn weakens our ability to negotiate. Step 3, the war accelerates. Which kind of exactly what it looks like today. As I was laying out with, the Jerusalem Post. Well, first, you had Trump say that, and then strikes go boom. So it looks like that's what Joe Kent's referring to precisely there. But also with Trump trying to negotiate, Jerusalem Post doxes the guy. That also fits the framework of what Joe Kent's speaking about here. But you notice, he's not pinning the blame on Trump. He's pinning the blame on certain bloodthirsty elements in Israel. Same thing with this post that he made, an hour and a half later. President Trump is working to get peace with Iran. If he can make this happen, it will be a very good thing for our nation and our allies in the Gulf. The Israelis will be against this, but POTUS is strong and can get them on board.
What an odd thing to say.
Are you not entertained?
And that's something. I don't remember if I floated this theory on Wednesday or Friday's streams last week. I might have. But what if Joe Kent was tasked to do what he's doing by Trump? What if this is a Trump-ordained, a Trump-sanctioned psyop that Joe Kent is doing? So Joe Kent quits. Him and Trump say some shit about each other to create that distance, to create the distance within the optics, within the narrative structure. And then Joe Kent is then can start speaking about what's going on with Israel without having that blowback bleed onto Trump. And Joe Kent, here's the thing about exposing corruption in Israel. There are some people that do it reasonably and logically. There are some people that take it way too far and are clearly working for some kind of deep state agenda or incredibly selfish agenda of their own. The people who do it reasonably They don't blame all Jews. They don't blame all Israelis. They offer specifics. They name names. They don't just hate for the sake of hating Jews. There's reasonable ways to go about exposing Israeli corruption, but it involves specifics and details, and obviously not like blaming all Jews. And those that take it way too far, that look to be working for the deep state, maybe even working for Mossad themselves. You know, sometimes the people like the Stu Peters types, right? I'm like, they just smell like they're working for Mossad, and their whole blame the Jews, blame Israel shtick is just cover to hide who's really pulling their puppet strings. And they make great examples for governments to pass free speech limiting anti-Semitic laws. They can point to people like Stu Peters and Candace Owens. Freaking great examples. So I do not like a lot of these Jews influencers because they just glow from space. But there are certain voices, like I think I constantly refer to him, but I think Ghost over at Badlands does a great job of not hating Jews, not blaming all Israelis, but naming names and specifying the issues within that particular country. I mean, just look at, and also I think Joe Kent might be kind of bringing some logic and reason into the, well, what's really going on with Israel discussion. I mean, just look at it, use the analogy of international people who look at America. They say, oh, America sucks. Or even people within this country, oh, America sucks. Well, you can't blame all Americans, right? Like, let's be specific here. Who? The people in charge? Well, with the way elections are faked, it's not like it's the American people's decision the majority of the time who's in charge. And you're just blaming the whole country because of the actions of a few, right? Same thing with Israel. You're going to blame all Israelis because of the actions of a select group of them? It's weird to me how some people think and the shit they say online. Also, another wild statement here. Trump on the Strait of Hormuz. It will be jointly controlled and maybe controlled by me and the Ayatollah. Man, it's pretty you really can't have a firm belief in this whole thing. You have to keep so many possibilities open. And we're just idiots here on the keyboard, so how can you be so firm in any one particular, with any one path or one belief, one idea as to what's going on? Critical thinking is about being able to entertain multiple possibilities and then just see what looks more likely as more evidence comes in. But then, I don't know where I was going with that, but the statement still stands. Right after, according to reports, Iran recently attacked energy infrastructure in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Pod Linux, the deep state is in charge. Well, I don't know. Well, depends, right? It's not that simple. That's an oversimplification. What are they in charge of? And what are they not in charge of? And everybody's got their own little agendas. So, some people's agendas are ideological. Some people's agendas are money-driven. Some people's agendas are power-driven. Some people's agendas are genuinely trying to help out humanity. But everybody's got this bias that they contort things through, whether they're doing things, you know, objectively good or objectively bad, if you want to say that. Everybody's got their bias. I do think the deep state is losing control of a lot. I do. I don't think that they've lost control of everything, quite clearly. Long game here. Rome wasn't built in a day. And it won't be burned in one. But, oh yeah, the stock market. I'm glad I closed out my Ethereum short last night. Let me just say that. Because that happened this morning. Kind of bummed that I didn't long anything. Everything was up. Pretty much all crypto was up 5% as soon as you woke up this morning. I think stonks, S&P 500 was up like 2%. But good day. Good day for just about everything. Although we'll see how long it lives. Oh, oil also tanked like 10% today too, so that was also good news. Yeah, oil was just touched 100 a barrel and then it went down to like 90. So wild swings though. And I mean, people will hate on Trump for this, but because it kind of looks like the framework where if there's any like controversial or disruptive news, Trump will wait till like Friday night or Saturday morning when the traditional stock market is closed to say or do the controversial stuff so it doesn't shock the stock market too much. And then Monday mornings, he'll say the good news, so stock goes up. But and people will rag on him for it, but that's just like, I don't know, helping us out, doesn't it? It's not such a bad thing. He's trying to just ease the impact of all that needs to be done as much as possible. Next subject, TSA. Damn, I gotta travel in just over 2 weeks. Am I nervous? Not really. Not getting there, because I'll be flying out of a small airport. I'm not nervous getting there, but coming back might be a pain in the ass. But it's in 2 weeks. I hope stuff gets figured out by then. It looks like these ICE agents... Well, this was the Atlanta airport this morning. At 5 a.m. This is 5 a.m. The line was outside. I mean, some of these airports were suggesting people show up 4 hours early. And then there were some reports of people showing up 6 hours early who like barely made their flights. So at the big airports, it's pretty bad. You know, if you're going through Atlanta or Austin, LAX, Chicago, any of the big ones, it might be hairy. But it looked like as soon as the ICE agents came in, I don't know, sometime this morning to some of these airports, they helped get people through and all that. So I'll be going to Nashville here. 2 weeks, Badlands Media event. Will be a grand old time. I've never been to Nashville, and I always love getting to these GARTs. Badlandsmedia.tv event tab up here. In person and virtual tickets available, but yeah, flying there probably won't be a problem for me, but getting back, I don't know what the Nashville airport's like, or if it's gonna be hairy. But Looks like ICE at the airports is helping things out. One more Trump post. Our last one to look at tonight. He said, I'm a big proponent of ICE wearing masks as they search for and are forced to deal with hardened criminals. I would greatly appreciate, however, no masks when helping our country out of the Democrat-caused mess at the airports. Which makes sense, right? Makes sense. I actually feel like that's a good diplomatic post there. ICE agents at the airports, you don't need to mask up for that. But out on the streets, going after the Rio Bata Eagles. Oh yeah, no problem. You go ahead and protect yourself from them Antifers. But Antifers aren't going to be able to do much to you at the airports. They might be able to yell at you like this crazy woman here.
Master, Donald Trump, go back to your master. Moving, exactly. And Netanyahu, if he's still alive, go back to your master.
Oh, right. If he's still alive, Netanyahu. He's been in like a bunch of videos the past couple of days, and that. How many of your online influencers were just going to town with that? Is that a week ago? Like a week and a half ago? And then just silence now. Now it's just silence on that. Dude, I can't stand some of these accounts, man. Anyway. She's a piece of work, ain't she? What do you think her dose of SSRI is? How many milligrams do you think she takes a day? Homeboy goes up to shake their hands. Yeah, I'd buy him a coffee. Here you go. I'd buy them an Americano, right? Oh, yeah. It's begun. Federal agents arrested an illegal alien in San Francisco this morning. What a place to do it, right? Let them hang out at the airports. They can arrest illegal aliens at the airports. Then just send them on an international flight. Arrest them right at the airport. All right, buddy. We'll deport you right now. Which plane you want to get on? This one's going to Madagascar. All right. Send it.
What's your name? Show the badge. Where's a badge?
Where's your bag?
Can someone call 911?
Okay.
Where's your badge? Can I see? Let me see your badge. Okay. No, can I see your badge? I don't know if that's legitimate.
They plainclothes?
Can I see your badge number, sir? What is your name? What is your name? Where's your badge number?
Yeah, that looks weird, doesn't it? Because they're not plainclothed in these videos. Sure as shit not. Huh. Well, I ain't going to be going to San Francisco anytime soon. Tell you that much. Actually, I was thinking about going to there's a hippie conference out there, a woo-woo new age UFO conference happening later on in April. I got invited to out there. But I just don't really have the time or the money to get there. But I kind of want to go. I miss going to those new agey woo-woo events that I used to do. Kind of miss them. But this one would be I didn't get invited to speak. I just got offered a free ticket to attend, but I'd still have to buy the plane ticket there. I don't feel like traveling any more than I have to right now. Know what I'm saying? Should need to show proof of ID. Well, yeah. I mean, you should have a badge on, but the person they're arresting should too. Don't you have to have like a real ID passport to get through security at an airport these days? So are people just going through with fake IDs or fabricated enhanced driver's licenses? Like how are illegals getting through checkpoints? Yeah, if that's an ICE agent, yeah. The plainclothes thing messed me up. Like that looked weird. If they're in an airport, they should be badged up, you know, noticed. I guess unless it's like a special investigation, special operation, something or other, but they were arresting like a mom. That didn't look like it required undercover. I'm an illegal alien from Agartha. ICE gonna get me. Do I need a videographer for this event in Nashville? Are you in the area? I could use that. Yeah. Maybe. Shoot me a DM on either Twitter or Instagram. Yeah, man. Fever Flav, my brother. I'd appreciate that. You've been with me since I was 14 on YouTube. What, like last week? Used to work customs at Pearson Airport in Toronto, and everybody had ID. The undercover cops even had ID, and they showed it when they needed to. Yeah, I mean, you should, if you're undercover and you're making an arrest, you should be showing proof that you are law enforcement. Otherwise, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking dick if somebody comes up and tries to put my hands behind my back and handcuff me or some shit and don't show proof of anything to warrant that. Yeah, I'm kicking and running, dude. So that's kind of sketchy. He just didn't want to show anything. Save act. Hakeem Jeffries just admits it. Just straight up admits it.
People, it's the reason why we are in a DHS shutdown right now, because Republicans have refused to agree to the type of bold, transformative, meaningful, and dramatic reforms we are demanding in order for the Department of Homeland Security funding bill to move forward. And I won't go through all of the demands, much of which we've talked about repeatedly in the public, but one of those demands is keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites.
What an odd thing to say.
I wish the government would just ban itself.
Love that gaslighting. Gaslight me harder, Daddy. It's the Republicans' fault because they won't agree to our terms to keep ICE out of polling places. Straight up. 100%. He just says it. They just want to steal the election. That's why they're shutting down the TSA, shutting down the airports. Because they want to steal the election. Throws freaking polling sites in there out of nowhere. Bro, I don't think that was on your teleprompter. You probably shouldn't have told the truth there. I know we're trying to get you to tell the truth, but I'm just looking out for you.
of worship, hospitals, and polling sites.
And polling sites. He even emphasizes that last point too. Throws his arm to the side. Makes his eyes a little more cross-eyed. Yeah. And then 6 Ways to Sunday, Chucky boy out here.
Way, Mika. This shows the Republican senators what heat they're under because of the TSA agents, because of the
they want the TSA agents paid.
Exactly, and it shows heat. And he goes a little late in my judgment.
Yeah.
But he goes to Trump and proposes it. And you know what Trump says? We're not doing anything until we pass the SAVE Act.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Mr. Donald Trump, it ain't passing.
Okay.
It will destroy our democracy. We ain't doing it.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Why are you gay?
Ultimatums on both sides. What's gonna give? Yeah, seriously though, it's what's gonna give? Got to be a breaking point. And final thing here. On Friday, like totally different, we're totally switching subjects, but on Friday, the FDA is going to hold a public meeting pretty much all day on dietary supplements, exploring the scope of supplement ingredients. The meeting will help inform the FDA's next steps regarding the meaning of dietary ingredient categories. Scope. During the event, there'll be presentations to provide background on the following topics. The scope of the phrase, dietary substance for use by man to supplement the diet by increasing the total dietary intake. That legal wording used in FDA codes. New methodologies to produce existing dietary ingredients and specific ingredient types, including proteins, enzymes, and microbials. This is interesting, man. And it's going on, let's see. Shoot. I think it gets over. I actually want to stream this for Maha News on Badlands on Friday. We might stream it live. I'm really curious about what this is going to be about. Big meeting, though. Especially big meeting for me, given that, you know, I kind of have a brand selling supplements, so you know you can go check that out, consciousstrength.net. But yeah, hopefully the FDA stops being asshole. So far it actually looks like RFK Jr. and Marty Makary are kind of getting the FDA out of being a medical mafia, but Friday will be a big tell. Speaking of, okay, I'm going to bring the music back in and we'll hang out for a few minutes. Speaking of supplements, I had a question up here about Macanon. Thanks for the dollar. Just got some of the methylene blue. What's the recommended amount per day? Suggested serving size for methylene blue 1% solutions is 20 drops. I personally don't do 20. I only do like 6 or 7 drops whenever I take it, because that's just enough for me. I personally don't need more than that. I know some people that do the 20 drops and they feel great doing a full dose. Awesome. I like less. And me personally, I don't use it every day. I only use it on long days, days where I need the extra mental boost. So I really don't use it all that much, just sometimes. And I usually put it either in water or like a green shake. Usually I mix up a greens powder and I put the drops in with the greens powder and drink that down. But yeah, I'd say start light. See how your body, your brain is accustomed to it. I'd start with like 5 or 6 drops, and you can up it, lower it, play around with it from there. Oh, Fiva Flav, what's up? I want to get to some of your comments. You're in Wisconsin. I mean, I got equipment. I don't know how you'd get. How far are you from Nashville? How far is Wisconsin from Nashville? That's quite a ways, right? I mean, I don't want you making that whole journey if it's a pain in the ass for you. I have equipment. I got cameras and a gimbal and a drone. My drone's kind of old and shitty, but it works. Gets the job done. 1080p footage. But I got equipment. It's just having somebody else with camera operating knowledge would be nice. Maybe like creative direction too. That's really what I'm looking for. Creative direction and videography skills. And maybe some editing skills, but I can edit, and I have some editors, but 8 hours is quite far though, man. Yeah, I don't wanna, I'd feel bad like having you come out there plus like stay and don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. Unless you want to work something out, but like I don't know where you'd stay. So shoot me a DM though if you want to talk about it. Guys, any last things you want to chat about? Let me do some scrolling of Oh, did you have that Jesse Waters clip? He was talking about McCaslin? Yeah, brother, shoot me a DM on Twitter or Instagram. Those are the only 2 platforms I check DMs on. By the way. Public note. Don't DM me on Telegram, Instagram, or X. Breaking: a U.S. Park police officer. Here, can I bring this up? This is the pro version of Twitter. I like using this to create a little fusion intel center for myself. Breaking: a U.S. Park police officer was shot in Washington, D.C. The officer was reportedly struck by rifle fire. Shit. Didn't we have like a D.C. shooter 20 or 30 years ago? Wasn't that a thing? Got like... Yeah, the DC sniper attacks. 2002. In total, the snipers killed 17 people and wounded 10 others over a 10-month span. That's right. It was like every couple of weeks somebody would get shot. God, I was like 11 years old when that happened, but I vaguely remember it. on the news. So my parents would watch the news every morning before they went to work. So I'd watch some freaking, it was always King 5 News in Seattle, Washington. I don't know why, but my mom, for some reason, she liked King 5 more than Como or Cairo. So I kind of remember some of this stuff. Anyway. Hopefully we don't get another string of shootings like the DC shooters. Tom Homan doing the rounds. The Senate just voted 54-45 to confirm Mark Wayne Mullen as DHS Secretary. Zoom in here so you can see it better. Megyn Kelly doing Megyn Kelly things. Anyway. Okay, I'll check Pilled DMs tonight. Or maybe in the morning. I'll get back to you though. How strong is my oregano oil? You have a different brand, but it's crazy strong. I do have mine diluted with MCT oil, organic MCT oil. You know, I still wanted it to be potent because you can always dilute it more yourself. You can't make it stronger though, so mine is fairly diluted, but it's still a little strong. Yeah, as Flav said, you can always tame it down on your own with olive oil, coconut oil, you know, like expeller pressed coconut oil, MCT oil, so it's liquid at room temperature. Whatever you got, man. Pretty much any argan oil, jojoba oil, anything. So even the one you already have, you can dilute it more. Avocado oil too. You can dilute it more. But I like it pretty potent if I'm using it under the tongue. Although if I'm using it like on my scalp or somewhere, then I'll tend to dilute it a little more in case sensitive areas. Well, Rumble chat died. So if you guys don't mind, I think I'm gonna head out. And I'll probably see you tomorrow. I'll probably stream tomorrow night. I know I owe you guys a clickbait of the week, so you're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. Yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow night, so I'll see you guys then. But I'm gonna head out because I want to go to the hardware store. By the time they close. And I got dinner to make. So, appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow.